Here are 10 things that happen when a member of Hell's Angels crosses the lines. Number 10. The death of Dain Phillips. In 2011, Dain Phillips, a 51-year-old family man, became entangled in a dispute between his son, Cody, and 4 high school classmates. The conflict stemmed from an offensive Facebook comment made by Cody about Daniel McRae, an acquaintance of Dain. McRae confronted Cody but remained dissatisfied with the resolution. Unaware of the vengeful intentions of McRae, Dain met with the individuals involved the following night, hoping to peacefully resolve the issue. Tragically, McRae, aided by friends connected to motorcycle gangs, sought revenge instead. Phillips was brutally attacked with hammers and baseball bats, left on the roadside, and later died in the hospital. 7 individuals, including at least 2 full-patch Hell's Angels members and the president of the Throttle Lockers gang, Hell's Angels support group, were charged with manslaughter. Phillips, the innocent family man with no criminal record, unwittingly found himself entangled with dangerous individuals while attempting to mediate the conflict. Number 9. Berkshire triple murder. In August 2011, after attending a Hell's Angels party in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, 3 men, including Hell's Angels member Adam Lee Hall, committed a horrifying crime. They kidnapped, stabbed, and shot 3 individuals, namely David Glasser, Edward Frampton, and Robert Chadwell. The motive behind the killings was to prevent Glasser from testifying against Hall in an assault case and eliminate potential witnesses. The perpetrators proceeded to dismember the victims' bodies and bury them. Their actions were later disclosed at the local Hell's Angels clubhouse, where they boasted about the gruesome acts. Following a missing persons report, the police discovered the victims' remains. Hall, along with his accomplices David Challieu and self-proclaimed satanist and vampire Caius Vaiovis, were convicted of 3 counts of first-degree murder. They are currently serving life sentences without the possibility of parole. Number 8. Biker brawl. In 2016, an altercation occurred when 25-year-old David Martinez moved a traffic cone outside the Hell's Angels clubhouse in New York City's East Village. Anthony Alvaniti, a club member and security guard, confronted Martinez, leading to a physical altercation. Alvaniti shot Martinez in the stomach, but Martinez survived. Surveillance footage identified Alvaniti as the shooter, and he was charged with assault and possession. However, the case was dropped after Alvaniti passed away from an aneurysm. Martinez forgave Alvaniti, expressing condolences to his family and wishing blessings upon the Hell's Angels. Number 7. 2007 Melbourne Central Business District shootings. In 2007, Christopher Hudson became a full member of the Hell's Angels after leaving a rival motorcycle club the previous year. While intoxicated and under the influence of drugs at a strip club in Melbourne's Central Business District, he brutally assaulted a dancer and threatened his girlfriend, Kira Douglas, at gunpoint. Kira managed to escape, but Hudson shot and killed Brendan Keeler, injured Kira, and wounded Paul DeWard when they intervened. Hudson fled the scene and sought shelter at a Hell's Angels clubhouse before surrendering to the police 3 days later. He was charged with multiple crimes, including murder, attempted murder, and unlawful imprisonment. Hudson pleaded guilty to Keeler's murder and was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum non-parole period of 35 years. Number 6. Rival revenge. Francisco Rosado, leader of the Pavins Motorcycle Club's Bronx chapter, was targeted in a fatal attack while working as a building superintendent. 3 masked individuals approached him and opened fire, resulting in his death. Another Pavins member present at the scene was also injured. Initially, investigators were unsure of the motive behind the shooting. However, they later discovered that the attack was carried out by 2 Hell's Angels members, Frank Loose Cannon Totoli and Sayanon Fonthawath, along with an associate from the Satan's Soldiers Motorcycle Club named Anthony DeStefano. The motive was believed to be retaliation for a previous incident involving shots fired outside a local Hell's Angels clubhouse. Number 5. Rolling Thunder and Big Smoke. In late 2022, a significant police operation named Project Rolling Thunder and Project Big Smoke successfully dismantled an alleged drug trafficking network worth approximately $18 million in Delta, British Columbia. The investigations were initiated following community concerns regarding drug activities in the area. Initially targeting street-level drug dealers, the operation expanded to uncover larger-scale operations involving the Hell's Angels and UN motorcycle clubs. During Project Rolling Thunder, law enforcement seized $193,000 in cash, $70,000 worth of jewelry, firearms, including assault rifles, various vehicles, and a substantial amount of drugs, with an estimated value of $1.8 million for the cannabis alone. Additionally, Operation Big Smoke revealed potential fraudulent use of a medical marijuana license. The success of these projects has provided valuable information for ongoing investigations into drug-related activities in the region. Although no recent updates have been reported since the initial busts in November, it suggests that law enforcement efforts are continuing. Number 4. Delayed justice. In 2012, a tragic incident unfolded at a paint and panel shop in Adelaide, Australia, when a group of 8 armed individuals stormed in and fatally shot business owner Jason DeIso. The investigation into his murder encountered significant obstacles, leading to a prolonged delay in bringing charges against the suspects. Although DeIso had no apparent affiliations with gangs, his killing was believed to be connected to an ongoing dispute between the Hells Angels and Phoenix bike gangs. Authorities suspect that the attack was a case of mistaken identity, with DeIso becoming a target as a reprisal for the firebombing of the suspect's parents' home. Presently, all 8 defendants have pleaded not guilty to the murder charge, and the trial is currently underway. Number 3. A repeat offender. In 2019, Joseph Lancia, the leader of the Rhode Island Hells Angels chapter, was accused of firing a gun at Richard Starnino, a former prospect of the club, during an ongoing feud. Surveillance footage captured the incident outside a local Hells Angels clubhouse. Lancia was arrested and released on bail, claiming self-defense against an alleged informant. While awaiting trial, Lancia was involved in another altercation at a strip club, leading to his arrest for assault. Currently on trial for 9 charges, including assault with intent to commit murder, Lancia rejected plea deals and could face up to 61 years in prison if convicted on all counts. Number 2. A smuggling slip-up. In 2015, Luke Joshua Cook, an Australian expat, along with his partner, Kanyarat Whitnifatak, and American expat Tyler Gerard, attempted to smuggle half a ton of methamphetamine into Thailand on a yacht. They were allegedly transporting the $300 million drug shipment for the Hells Angels through their illegal boat importation business. When their yacht was approached by a Thai Navy vessel, they disposed of the drugs overboard and the stash washed ashore. Despite locals turning it over to the authorities, no suspects could be linked to the drugs at the time. However, Cook, Whitnifatak, and Gerard were eventually arrested. Prosecutors claimed that Cook had been paid $10 million by the Hells Angels to facilitate the shipment. Cook's defense lawyer argued that he had been framed for the crime. Despite appealing the death sentence, the court upheld Cook's conviction, rejecting the claim of being framed. However, after a lengthy legal battle over the credibility of a witness and a lack of evidence connecting them to the drugs, Cook and Whitnifatak were ultimately acquitted by the Supreme Court. After being cleared of charges, Cook returned to Australia and underwent a 2-week quarantine to ensure he was free from COVID-19 before reuniting with his 2 children. Note, the provided information is based on the given text and may not include the most recent updates or developments in the case of Luke Joshua Cook and his co-defendants. Number 1. Reformed and regretful. Ben Geppert, once a member of the Hells Angels on Australia's Gold Coast, led a life marred by criminality and frequent encounters with the law. In 2019, during a trip with his ex-girlfriend, Geppert's violent behavior escalated behind the wheel, prompting her to leap out of the moving vehicle for her own safety. Subdued by police using a taser, Geppert was subsequently sentenced to 6 months in prison. Tragedy struck that same year when his 17-year-old brother was fatally stabbed, a loss for which Geppert felt responsible. Profoundly affected, he publicly pledged to bring his brother's killer to justice and severed ties with the Hells Angels. In a video for a government program aimed at rehabilitating gang members and deterring potential recruits, Geppert candidly recounted the detrimental impact of his gangster lifestyle, including the loss of his brother and the difficulty in securing regular employment. However, his attempts at reform were short-lived. Prior to the video's release, he was arrested for a violent burglary related to a drug debt. Additionally, he violated a restraining order by repeatedly contacting his ex-girlfriend from jail. As a consequence, Geppert received a 3-year prison sentence and will soon become eligible for parole. Geppert's indiscreet social media posts detailing his involvement in gang activities reportedly made him a target. Despite recognizing a need for a lengthier sentence, the judge took into account the likelihood of Geppert spending much of his term in isolation, which could impede his rehabilitation efforts. Hence, a relatively lenient sentence was handed down.